Hi there, wherever you are. I'm Chris from Lala, where I grew up in the Val. That's the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles.
And I'm Dar. I grew up in St. George, Utah, and Chris and I met online in 2018, and we've been married since 2021.
And welcome to episode 8.
8.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
episode
goodness,
8.
Episode 8. So yeah, we just finished up the World Cup as we're recording this.
Which is why you're wearing your jersey.
Well, this
right?
it's actually a St. George. I can't really show it.
Stand up.
Yeah, I'll stand up here. It's a St. George rugby jersey.
There you go.
Now you're saying, of course, St. George has a rugby team. Actually, there are rugby teams that play at Snow Canyon High, but yeah, it's St. George, the St. George Dragons of Australia.
Okay.
A rugby team.
Okay.
But it's a cool jersey.
It is a cool jersey.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing, I don't know if you can see it, but it's here, I'll come back here.
Biscuits with the Boss.
Biscuits with the Boss. Here we go.
Ted Lasso, which is coming back in
Ted Lasso.
2 weeks.
It was so fun to see Ted and the coach
Yeah,
kind of in a cameo.
during the halftime, a little cameo.
We just finished watching that today.
Yeah, so Viva España. Congratulations to Spain.
It was a fun, I had never paid attention.
And congratulations to my England team winning third place in a really good third place game.
Yeah. I had never paid attention to a World Cup until this one.
Until she's with me.
It's really fun. I enjoyed it.
She's paying attention to the World Cup because there's a lot of World Cup craziness in this house.
There has been. Do I know all the rules? No, I do not.
Do you know the offside rule yet?
Kind of. I'm going to align myself more with Ted on that one, although he did learn over the course of the series. But no, it was entertaining. It was fun to see all the pride of each country.
But you will remember that 2-3 weeks ago, I had my little we had a side bet. I thought it would take three miracles for England to make the final. They didn't make the final.
Yeah.
But they got 2 of those 3 miracles.
They got so close.
Yeah. Only losing to the eventual runner-up Argentina and Messi.
Yeah.
So the bet was I would have to eat a whole bag of black licorice and watch a Jane Austen movie.
Of my choosing, which I chose Emma 2020 version.
And so I felt like since 2 of the 3 miracles happened, I had to at least give you one of them, and I gave you Emma.
And I didn't even ask, and you were so kind to even offer. And I had never seen this Emma. We watched it together with my sister, and it was not our favorite. I loved the visuals.
Not your favorite. It was not close to being a favorite. Dar's saying that this was not a well-done Jane Austen movie. I'm just going to take it as that's Jane Austen and
one and done, and
you're
never watching it again.
And I did go into it with an open mind. I felt okay, I'm going to go into this.
You did.
I'm going to, because there have been things that, I've watched before with you, like Downton Abbey. I was like, oh, I'm going to hate this. And I loved it.
You loved it. Outlander. You're not usually into period pieces.
I watched Emma. I watched Jane Austen, and I still hated it. So,
but thanks for giving it a shot.
I gave it a shot.
That was very good of you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
But I will not do the black licorice.
That's okay. Yeah. And honestly, my favorite part of this version of Emma that I watched was the visuals. The set design I thought it was beautiful. All the colors they chose. But other than that, my favorite telling of Emma is Clueless, which I know you hate too.
I don't like Clueless either.
I know.
Mainly because it really rags on my home place, the Val.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing in the movies, she can't bear to be in the Valley in North Hollywood. And
that's where you grew up.
Circus Liquor, where I grew up.
I know.
Not Circus Liquor. I didn't grow up there, but it's in North Hollywood.
You're a Valley boy.
And so, I mean, I know you say it's a bad version. Just the characters are so Anna Taylor-Joy played Emma. The characters are so unlikable. I thought the only good result of this movie could be if aliens invaded the inn and blew everybody up. That would have been great.
Sorry, that did not happen.
No, it did not happen.
That's all right.
So no, I gave Jane Austen a try, and Jane Austen did not win me over.
Wow, that was very good of you to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to last week's episode where we had a bit of a competition, which is first to 5. I thought we should play that many times in the future. I really liked it. I was not prepared. I don't remember the last time I read a Jane Austen book, and Pride and Prejudice in particular. So I felt like I did not represent Jane Austen or Pride and Prejudice well. Although you won, you did very well with your Star Wars trivia. So kudos to you, winning 5-3.
I did okay.
You did great. I thought it was awesome. So hopefully we'll play another version of that in the future. And then I also wanted to mention, kind of changing lanes just slightly. I had a family friend who had a celebration of life this week. It was a dear friend of my parents, and our families are very close. And it was just really great to see so many people that I love in the same room, and people that I haven't seen in years and years and years. And it's a shame that funerals is kind of what brings you together at this time in our life. But I'm just grateful that I was able to see so many people that I love.
Yeah, and just to see the love given to you and to the people who've lost others. And once again, this family did what your family did. I think, not that there's a right or wrong way to grieve, but I thought they did it well.
It was so them, like the person who we were honoring, they played 2 of her songs, and we got to listen to her sing and see her crafts and her artwork. And it really was a celebration. And the room was just full of love, and it really wasn't sad.
Yeah. And I said, there's not a wrong way to grieve. It's not a wrong way to pass. There's not but I'd like the people to celebrate my life. I even like the fact that they had pictures displaying of her younger self.
Yeah.
Because I made a point to do this for any obituary I had to do on the news or things like that, where there's a tendency to show them at the very end of their life. So they're 90 years old and they look terrible, they're barely hanging on, and not showing them at their moments of when they're younger. Yeah. And so please don't show pictures of me as an old man when I pass.
Note to self.
Don't, you can show me right now in my 50s, I've never felt better. But, when I pass, when I'm 120, don't show me as a shriveling old whatever the heck I am. And that note, we're going to go into what we watched this week, but there's a brand new show. It's on BBC, so it's not being shown in America yet. If you know who Diane Morgan is, if you've watched the Kunk on the World, Felonious Kunk, just hilarious.
She's on Last One Laughing. Yeah. She's been on several
She's
shows.
playing a character that's basically a robot that lives with an elderly woman.
She's a caretaker.
Yeah. And I there's a promise to robotics and even AI. It's that, because dealing with my own father right now, my mom is starting to
Well, our parents are aging. Yeah.
And it's tough when you're younger.
We're trying to decide, okay, what does that look like when I'm old enough? Like, who's going to take care of me?
So I truly hope that there are robotics that can, that don't have to sleep, that don't care about putting you in baths and wiping you and all that crap.
Yeah.
That can take care of us.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to be, it's not we always say it's not a burden, but it is a burden. And especially there's, for ages, back when I did political polling, one of the polls we did constantly was, do you want funding for caretakers? And that still hasn't happened. It's just a difficult thing, and
it can get really expensive too. It's, you end up being a part of a sandwich generation where you might have kids that you're looking after, and then parents, and then also working full time.
So I am curious about everyone else's thoughts. If you want to chime in our comments and everything else, and our phone line and everything, we give that at the end of the show. Your thoughts on part of being Gen X right now is not dealing, that's not the right word, but
learning how to navigate.
Your parents as they enter the last chapters of their lives. Love to hear from you on that. And so for now, we're going to take a short little break to regroup, and we'll be back
right after this.
Welcome back. We did a an LA travelogue a few weeks ago, but we happened to go back because I want to watch the England versus Norway quarterfinal match with my dad.
When you saw that was happening, you're like, gosh, I really
Saturday,
like to watch it with Dad and brothers.
We'd all be there together. It's not in the middle of the week, so people won't be working and such. So I wanted to spend it with my dad, so we took another trip to LA.
Yeah, we did. It was fun to see everybody, of course. And I got some video of the brothers jumping around and high-fiving everybody.
Going crazy over England winning the match.
Giving your dad a hug. Yeah, it was really fun.
And my brother got, for my dad and for him, because his dog had passed away, so got a new puppy.
Her name is Lucy, and she's adorable. She's so cute. She's a little white husky with blue eyes. I'll put a picture in there if I can. And she's just so sweet, so well behaved and sociable, and just a cutie.
And speaking of kids, so they're not kids anymore.
They're adults.
They're adults, but had time with my kids as well.
We got to share a meal together.
And then we went over to the beach. A little June gloom, but we took some. I wanted to get back in the ocean, so I did. Hear
the waves, and you have a couple spots that are favorites of yours. So, so I'll upload some video of that as well. Where are we now, Chris?
We're in Long Beach, on the beach. On the Long Beach. Like sands through the hourglass.
So are the days of our lives. Got a nice view out here.
Got the Queen Mary down there, which now looks smaller next to the giant Carnival.
Right.
Ship. That's one of their biggest.
Yeah.
So people don't realize Titanic that's about size Titanic. It would be like, it's beauty now.
There we go. We'll zoom in.
These islands are man-made. They're named after the Apollo 1 astronauts. So it's Grissom, Chaffee, and White. Things to create that sound. Like a real waves hitting the beach. A couple folks out there on their jet skis. Saw some parasailers earlier. One more time in the Pacific. Used to not see this so much. It's sad. So many classic boat people. That's how cold this was. wave came over the top and just, oh.
You're gonna smell like seaweed.
As a kid, I used to like doing it. I'm serious. Just take a little, that's why I probably like to eat seaweed, because it's got that saltiness, and it's always weirded me because I guess it's but it's air inside.
Oh, okay.
So you just pop these open. It's like the bubble wrap. You just go.
Interesting.
Oh, cool.
How was the water? Was it cold?
It was pretty cold.
Yeah.
Not like freezing cold, but
yeah,
probably like 60 degrees. Oh man, that was fun.
Nice.
We saw something.
Yeah.
LA has been known, and growing up there, I remember as a kid growing up in the valley, where people were first using those swimming pools. They emptied them out and would skate in them. That's how Tony Hawk got his start.
Skateboard.
So skateboarding, obviously, I don't think surfing can be. I think it's traced to Hawaii, but it got popularized in LA. So many other things, extreme sports started in LA. So we caught eye of something that we didn't know what the heck it was.
I saw these little strips of parachute material. They were just really thin. And I felt like the parachutes were going opposite the way the board was going. Like, it didn't make sense to me. And we did a little research, and it's called
kite foiling.
Kite foiling.
So basically, it's not that you were wondering, are the boards
motorized?
Powered? Or is there something? No, it's purely off the air.
Yeah.
In the same sense that old sailing vessels could turn their sails in a certain way and turn that energy to move the opposite direction. That's what they do. And they end up in the air. It's kind of like skating in the air almost.
It was counterintuitive to me because I would see the sail on the left and the board on the right, and they were traveling to the right. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I want to investigate, but I will also upload some video that Chris took.
Watch some.
Although what I don't understand is how he's moving to the right when the parachute is on the left.
I know.
I don't understand it. Because that should slow him down.
Yeah, you'll see in this video. He's above the water right now.
Like, theoretically, it should be pulling him to the left right now, right?
Well, I've always wondered how sails work to pull people out of the way, even having been on a sailboat.
Yeah, there's like 6 of them out there, 7, 8.
Behind us?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It just feels like the sand under me will crumble through. Yeah. So
and then while on this trip, and I'm not much of a Starbucks person. I know you're not either.
We're not really, but if we're going to use the bathroom somewhere, we always buy something.
And so I tried. I'd say it's the best thing I've had at Starbucks since the eggnog latte they used to have every Christmas, which they don't anymore.
Yeah. So we filled up, and that gas station didn't have a bathroom. So we saw Starbucks across the way. We're like, okay, let's go use the bathroom. Let's get a drink.
Iced Blue Coconut Matcha. But not only did I fall in love with it, so did you.
I'm not usually a matcha person at all. I usually prefer iced coffee. But it's a blue coconut mixed with the iced matcha. And I'll put a picture of the drink. It's so beautiful. It starts with green, it goes up to blue. It's so tasty. But the best part of it it's part of the Get Blue initiative. So every purchase of these blue drinks, 25 cents will be donated to water.org. And we learned that while watching A Good Hang with Amy Poehler interviewing Matt Damon. Because Matt Damon and Gary White started this organization called water.org. And there are 2.1 billion people in the world who don't have access to clean water. And so what water.org does is it facilitates these microloans where people can create a well, dig for a well, have some sort of access to clean sanitation. So we've been hooked. I think we've had 5 or 6 of these drinks since we've been home now.
So they've actually, so it's a drink we got hooked on. It actually goes to a good cause.
It goes to a great cause. And, you know, if you're not a matcha person or if you're not a Starbucks person, you can still donate to water.org. Clean water is important for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's something, you know, it's a real thing for a lot of people, especially on our Native American population, which has not had the infrastructure created to have safe drinking water.
Well, I've heard of microloans before, like in South Africa or places that maybe they'll buy a cow so then they can sell milk or whatever, or they'll buy a sewing machine so the mother can work out of her home and sew clothing. So it's a concept that I think is interesting and that it's a win-win. So so, just wanted to throw that out there.
Throwing that out there, go to water.org, and we're going to go to a break. So we will be back in a second. All right, we are back. We talked a little earlier about one thing we're watching, but let's do the rest of what we're watching.
So my sister clued me in on this podcast. It's on YouTube called Dish, and I'm totally in love. I mean, just in the last week, we've watched so many episodes, but it's it's a food and celebrity podcast. It's hosted by broadcaster Nick Grimshaw and Michelin-starred chef Angela Hartnett. It's hosted by Waitrose, which is a grocery store over in the UK. So Nick leads the discussion and he mixes the drinks, and then Angela prepares the meal and provides cooking tips. And it's just a good discussion
about things and also what people are eating.
Yeah, totally. So just this week, I don't think you've seen all of these
episodes.
I watched
all of them, but yeah.
You've watched a lot of them with me, but yes, I've watched Cynthia Erivo from Wicked. Yeah. Simon Pegg, who...
He talks about doing the nerd hat trick. So he has been in Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who.
Yes. I know him mostly from like The World's End, the pub crawl movie, or Paul, but he's also in Mission Impossible. And then Joe Wilkinson, who's a British comedian that we really like. He's on 8 out of 10 Cats, Last One Laughing.
He always looks like he's homeless to me.
He kind of does, but he's just such a funny, good guy. And in this episode, he talks about putting Marmite on everything. Yes. Even his spaghetti bolognese and Marmite. Sandwiches. Yeah. And then Nicola Coughlan, I think. Nicola Coughlan from Bridgerton. Yes. Dairy Girls. Always love her.
By the way, she's probably, and tell me characters' names. She's, her character and the Bridgerton, that's my favorite couple.
Storyline, because they were best friends, right? Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
It does. Oh. Yeah. And then the last one, the most recent one we watched, you watched this with me, was Kevin MacLeod. Kevin
MacLeod. And exquisite architecture. It's brilliant.
If you watch Grand Designs, you know what this is about.
Yes. Amazing. I love watching his shows in Britain. One's called Grand Designs, another is called Lists of Britain, where he profiles people's architecture, whether they're taking their homes and redesigning them or...
Well, the Listed Britain is looking at maybe cathedrals or older houses or buildings that may be condemned, or maybe somebody revamped them and uses them for something else. And it's just so, like, we love looking at architecture and so we just...
And he's like a national treasure there, and for good reason. He's fascinating. Sure. And he talks about using mostly natural things. He talks about not having processed food. Yeah. But then he says, I had a pizza last night, so you know.
Gluten-free, of course.
Gluten-free,
but he also brought a bunch of like apples, rhubarb from his own garden. Like it sounds like he's an avid gardener himself, and just likes to eat good whole foods quite a bit. So we're still watching Cheers. We're still on the train of, you know, all of Jim Burrows'
shows. Yeah. So we've it's been fun watching Cheers again, because I mean I was you weren't as big. I was huge into Cheers when I was younger, and at the same time, of course, I watched Cheers when I was before I was a teen. So it's like, I don't get the drink culture, all that stuff. So,
well, and I'm going to ask our audience this. You've noticed that Cheers is still on like BBC channels or ITV or whatever, even today, like even 2 or 3 times a day.
It's huge over in the UK.
So I want to know, like, would you have Cheers mugs or backpacks, or like, do you have memorabilia from Cheers, or like, would you buy that if if you saw it in the store? Would you?
But it's also funny watching the episodes. Things I never noticed. Of course, we always, if you remember, every time Norm would come in, George Wendt's character, everyone would yell Norm, and I never noticed that Shelley Long's character, Diane, at the very end of that, you'd always hear Norman, like the more formal. And I never noticed that until we watching it now. So it may be something to catch. Norman.
Well, and as an adult, you can see the chemistry that they have. Like as kids, we miss that.
Exactly. Of course, you don't get Sam Malone, the women. The kid, you're like, I don't care about that.
And then the Night Court guy, what's his name?
Harry Anderson's in a lot of early episodes. And James Burrows talks about in the book how he made such an impression that he basically convinced NBC to give him his own show.
Night Court.
Becomes Night Court. Yeah. We talked about this before, but that one Thursday night on NBC when it was Cheers, Night Court, Seinfeld, ER early on, and then later Friends. I mean, it just...
Must-see TV.
Which just doesn't exist anymore.
It was appointment TV.
We don't have appointment TV anymore because we're all streaming.
Yeah,
we don't have. True. There's appointment streaming. I mean, once in a while, like a Stranger Things when it debuts or something, but it's not like the one night you had to make sure you got home because you didn't, and if you missed them, unless you record them on your VCR, you had to wait for the reruns. It's funny. There's a scene in the first Back to the Future where the kid goes, "What's a rerun?" And I think a lot of kids now would say the same thing. Yeah. What's a rerun? But it used to be before, streaming and, we just click, we talk about old episodes. It's like you didn't see another episode until it was rerun again. And you always be the summer because all the new episodes are basically from September to May. And then from May until next September for the whole summer, they would just repeat the episodes. So they would be reruns. Or, old shows would be rerun. Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island.
Yeah. That's the only way you could watch it again.
It'd be kind of funny, I think, going forward. It's almost like they should have done this in Back to the Future where the kids should have said, "What's a rerun?" in the future. Because if we sat around table, if we asked your nephews what a rerun is, they probably would not be able to tell us.
They'd understand it if we explained it, but
they'd probably say, if we said like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this in a rerun," and they would go, "What's a rerun?"
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
In 2026.
Well, just like a rotary phone. Like, how would kids know how to dial?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah. So, we're going to take a quick break, probably make a call on the rotary phone, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. And I was actually, over the weekend, yesterday, I was kind of like, knocked out for a little, not knocked out, but
just taking it easy.
Because I took it on. I said, I'm going, after you're 50, we're over 50.
Yes.
There's
guidelines.
There's guidelines for how to keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
And one of them are things like the shingles vaccine and hepatitis B.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm just going to do them all at once. So I did shingles, hepatitis vaccine. I did this year's COVID shot,
and
Tdap, to avoid the whooping cough. There's certain shots, like the shingles vaccine, I only have to do it once in my life. The measles vaccine is only once in your life. But the Tdap, people don't realize the whooping cough one, as whooping cough is coming back, unfortunately, it's something you do have to do for every 5 years. So. But of course, I took it upon myself to do all 4 at once.
But you talked to the pharmacist, you did a little research. The pharmacist was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do 2 in each arm.
You absolutely can, but the payment is you're just going to feel a little lethargic the next day and sore arms and,
And you just watched the World Cup.
Yes, it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, for sure.
So meantime, I'm going to be away for a few episodes. Got some stuff I'm doing.
Yeah. So you might see me.
So it might just be Dar.
Yeah.
I might make guest appearances or something. But this has been your baby, and I think it's been fun.
And I have a couple things that I've been wanting to share too, so I can kind of dust off those ideas.
Good. So I'm just gonna be leaving the room, and she'll share them with you when he's gone. He's gone. Okay. No. Hi. So in the meantime, we do want to hear from you.
Yeah,
please reach out to us. Call 435-990-5824. That's 435-990-5824. We won't answer it personally because it is a recording, because we cannot be up 24 hours a day. But there's also a way you can email us.
Yeah, from lala2utah@gmail.com. And if you share your thoughts and we want to use it, you might appear in a future episode.
Absolutely. So please take care of yourselves and each other, and certainly don't do what I wouldn't do.
I don't know what that means. But...
I don't either. But if you want to watch Jane Austen movies, go ahead. I'm just telling you. I'm not going to be judgmental.
It's not for everybody. It's okay. It's all right. So have a great week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Spending your time with us.
Take care.